I would like to tell you the story about my countries, special countries, Vietnam. Vietnam is a moving countries. We still consider that we are an agriculture economy. You can see that the total rural population in our country is 61 million people, and more than 70% of the total population still live in rural area. During the last 30 years, we have a very success development in the economic, and you can see that here is both in the city and in the rural area, the income of people increase very quickly. But there's a big gap between urban and rural area. There is a number from the year 2002, 2004, 2006. So even though everybody is better off, but the city people is richer and quicker than the rural people. And you can see, since the economic development very quickly, so the structure of the different sector in the GDP share is also changing. Service is booming, industrial and construction works is booming, but agriculture sector, the share is still very small. Now it's about, before it's it's about 30%, but now it's about 20% of total GDP. However, the investment, the input is different. People, put a lot of input of investment to another sector outside of agriculture sector. As you see, the output, agriculture sector still play quite important role, but for the input, they are nothing invested into, including the government investment. So most of investment from outside, Vietnam is the number 6 countries in largest of FDI in the world. But most of investment is come to service and in the industrial sector. So the development of farm is a very difficult. You can see here is the farm size in Vietnam, only 0.6 hectare, and it divides into 7 or 15 pieces of land. So cannot use structure, even irrigation. And so the investment is low. The farm is so small, so income of people is very, very low. It is the income per person per month average today for the farmer, and the saving is very small. So people cannot changing their life. The access, you can see how small the access of farmer own. But we is facing with serious challenge. The process of market, the change from the planning economics to market economics, the change from the rural to urban social, from the agricultural and economic to industrialized economics, and move to the globalization very quickly with us. We've heard that Brian talk about the world. So the Western countries have several hundred years to move. The Northeast Asia have 50, 70 years to move, but we have to move very fast. We move without the sacrifice of several things, like we don't have the colonial land, we cannot pollute our environment or exploit our nature resource. We don't have slave labor, of course. So only one thing people think about is exploit peasant, exploit agriculture. And that is what happened in many places in the world. We cannot do it, because if we do it, the most important thing in our country is stabilize of social, of political situation will be destroyed. So if we cannot exploit it, so only one way is that we have to build it. We have to support for that sector to develop. That's the only choice that our government think about. And that is why we come to ABCD. We see that the success case of Japan, of Korea, of Taiwan make us some suggestion. Today we live in the world that we need to have a linkages between urban and rural. We need to have linkages between agriculture and market. How to do it? The one way is develop an international body, urban business, and use that as a locomotive to bring rural economic up. Another way is develop a local company, small and medium enterprises. And the third way is develop farmers themselves, the community, the cooperative action. So what is the way to go? China start with the first one and the second one. And seem to be now they have trouble. But develop community and cooperative is not easy in such low condition like our country that I just mentioned. Low farm size, poor investment, and especially we don't have civil society yet. That is the reality. Just talk about. So yeah, that is true. They are completely different between developing countries and developing countries. So our strategy like this. We start from small farm, more than 10 million small households. And we use market approach to develop it and to bring investors to come to rural area to develop enterprise in rural area. At the same time, we promote the farm, small farm, to link them together in the cooperative. And now we talk about the community development. We base in the traditional community relation before and use enterprise and farm cooperative to develop a new rural society, new kind of community in rural area in order to link with the market and develop a commercial orientation farm. And by that way, we develop a larger scale commercialized production, agricultural production. And by that way, increase income, increase power, increase position of the farmer, of the rural resident. That's our strategy, that's our wish, and we come here to learn. And I, like you, still have a lot of questions need to be answered. And we start to answer that question by start to build some model. We already have the government set up more than 10 model. The party set up more than 10 model. And the leader of government and leader of party, they directly involved to the community development model. And my minister and I have in charge for one small village in the Mekong Delta. And 60% of that village is Khmer people, so they are very poor. So, okay, we hope that we can answer the question by ourselves, but I don't think we can do it without the support from outside. On not only the money, but also thinking, the technology, and whatever they mentioned, like Singh just mentioned. Thank you.